Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Walk-in tours around London, the London Dungeons and LEGOLAND in Windsor. All coming up on the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Hello and welcome to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Over the last few shows I've been doing suggestions on days out in the UK. This week I decided to revisit 3 interviews I did last year for ideas for you to go, something to do now the school summer holidays are getting quite close. So later in the show I'll be speaking to Matt Clarkson from London Dungeons and Liz Edwards from LEGOLAND Resort in Windsor. And I'll also be covering some travel news, including the news of a flight in America that got diverted because of a guide dog. But first, looking out this window, at the moment I'm recording this, it doesn't seem a good idea, but you can have walking tours around London. I spoke to Mary Tucker from London Walks about the tours that her company offers. And when you think about it, it does make more sense than sitting in a bus going round and round, because you can only see what's on your side of the bus. But as a walking tour, you can really get immersed into the whole atmosphere and get to see everything up really close and personal. So here's an interview I recorded last year with Mary Tucker from London Walks.
Well, basically, our walking tours last about 2 hours, and they are a walk in London, either in an area, or it might be on a particular theme like Charles Dickens or the Beatles or Jack the Ripper. And there'll be historical tours, and you walk and stop. You don't cover too much ground, but there'll be lots of history and things as you go along.
Why is a guided walking tour better than just following a book or a printed web page?
Well, if you are following a book, you spend all your time trying to find the place. It could have moved, things could have changed, you're never quite sure if you're looking at the right thing, and you waste an awful lot of time sort of looking up and looking down. Whereas with a guide, they take you exactly where you've got to go, they know what's new, what's different, what's changed, can point out little details. So we think that's by far the best way to see anywhere.
It does sound the best way, that's for sure. How does a walking tour compare to being on a bus?
Oh, it's infinitely better. A bus tour, first of all, you're completely in control. Okay. So you can stop outside the most important place. You can go round the corner, little alleyways, little streets that a bus can't even go down. On a bus, you're always at the mercy of the traffic. And what can happen is you can whiz past something that's really interesting and then be stuck somewhere that's, rather dull. Also, from a bus, it's actually not very easy to see when you're in a city like this. It's all right. I mean, you can see if you're like on the top of a bus, an open top, those sort of buses, you can see things. But if you're in a coach, you're looking out the sides, so you can only see something when it's sort of directly up against it, and then you miss it if it goes past quickly. So you can see 100 times better if you're walking.
I guess looking out of a bus window is like watching on the telly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, or, it's all right, say, for instance, if you're out in the countryside or something like that, where you've got more of a panorama view and that you might need a bus to get from A to B. But in a city, you don't get that view, and you can actually not see things very easily often. It's all right if you're the driver at the front of the bus, you can see. Yeah. But from the sides, or you might be sitting on the wrong side of what you're passing, and so on. So definitely in a town or a city, it's infinitely better to walk.
Okay. Who are London Walks?
Well, the company was actually founded in the 1960s by an Australian who's since gone back to Australia, and he realised, like sometimes when you're a visitor to a place, you discover these things that there wasn't really anyone offering these walking tours. So David and I run it now, and we took it over from someone who'd taken it over from this Australian. And so we've been going We've been running it nearly 20 years.
It's a fair while, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it comes to your guides, how do you choose them?
Well, they come from a variety of ways. Some of them are what we call blue badge guides, which means they're fully qualified, they're sort of full-time guides. Otherwise, they could be a specialist in a particular area. For instance, our guide who does the Beatles walk is sort of the world's leading expert on the Beatles. We often have actors. They make very good guides because obviously, you know, some of the important things for a guide is to be able to be heard, use a good voice, paint a picture with words. So there's all sorts of factors that come into making a good guide.
How long would a walk last on average?
The general walks last 2 hours. That's more or less what people can take at one time, to be honest. Because although it's not tough walking, you are on your feet all that time. The pub walks that we do are a little bit longer because they, you know, involve stopping at a pub for a drink on the way. But generally the walks are 2 hours long.
What if somebody wants to go on one of your tours but they couldn't walk for 2 hours?
Well, you know, most of the walks are accessible by in a wheelchair. You know, so if they're in a wheelchair, you know, the guides will try and find places where people can sit, but that's not always possible. So we do have to say that, although it's not at all fast or tough walking, but you do need to be able to stand for that long.
When it comes to the starting point of the walk, how would somebody find it? Is it easy?
Yeah, we have all our walks start from underground station exits because that's how most people obviously get around. So we always meet outside at street level, and if there's more than one exit at a station, then we'll say which exit it is that we meet outside. And the guides will be there, and they'll just be holding up the White London Walks leaflet, and they don't have to book, they just come along.
So it's quite foolproof then?
Yeah.
I'm sure I still come out the wrong exit. I normally do.
Well, it happens sometimes, but if you read the leaflet, you shouldn't go wrong.
What's the most popular walk that you do?
Without question, the most popular walk is Jack the Ripper, which is a bit sad, really, isn't it? But that is the case. We run that every night, and we also do it additionally at 3 o'clock on Saturdays.
Do you say who the Ripper is at the end?
No, because that's why it's so popular, I think, is because it's an unsolved mystery.
So that's the most popular walk. What's your personal favourite?
Well, I've got a few. I quite like ones that are slightly more unusual. A lovely walk we do is the Old Palace Quarter, which is around the St James's area. Hampstead, which is, you know, the most villagey part of London.
Yeah.
We do a very nice walk called the Along the Thames Pub Walk, and that's a good walk, partly because it's one of the few walks that's not on a road, so it's along the river, and that's always nice to get away from traffic, and it's got great views, and there's lots of early history, and the river, the Thames, is the reason that London is here in the first place. Another great walk is Legal London around the Inns of Court, and anything in the city, because the city is, of course, the oldest part of London, and that's always full of history and nooks and crannies.
Do you have any new walks planned for the future?
Well, we're always looking into new walks, so we have them. We have some sections in our leaflet that we call the repertory walks that are at the weekend, where we run 4 walks that only go occasionally, like twice a year, so you know that they don't stand up to going all that time. For instance, we have a James Bond walk. A new walk that we've done this summer is a street art walk, so Banksy around Shoreditch that way. So we're always looking for new walks and ideas. For instance, I mean, Harry Potter isn't so new now, but at one time it wasn't here. So you know, we're always looking for new things.
How can the listeners find out more about London Walks?
The best thing is to go to our website, which is www.walks.com, and everything is listed there.
Yep.
And if they contact us, we can send them a leaflet if they'd like that, or you can pick the leaflet up from... We've always got them in the crypt of St Martin's in the Field Church in Trafalgar Square. So we're pretty easy to find.
One final question. What's it like when it's raining?
Well, we do go whatever the weather.
Okay.
So it's, you couldn't run walks in London and
No.
stop for the weather. But it's interesting, I've been guiding a long time, 25 more actually, nearly 30 years, and there's only been about 15 to 20 walks in that time where it's rained for the whole time. Because usually here the weather does change, and so if it's raining at the beginning, it's usually stopped by the end of the walk.
Gary Fitz here, every Monday, 10 o'clock. Coming up, we've got Eric and Ernie. Join me here on Seclo Sounds.
In your smile.
It's from 1975, Eric and Ernie were four...
Gary, it's not Eric and Ernie, it's Earl and Ernie, the Cape Brothers, Union Man.
Oh, I see. Gary Fitz here, every Monday, 10 o'clock.
Earl and Ernie.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Still to come on the show, LEGOLAND Resort in Windsor and travel news, including a possible crackdown on bikinis and other swimwear in the Middle East. But first, London Dungeons. Last year I spoke to Matt Clarkson from London Dungeons to find out more about what this place has to offer the visitor to London. It does sound a really fun place to visit, and I managed to get a really good cheesy tune in when I first played this last year. Don't worry, I'm not playing the cheesy tune this year. I've got a more general London cheesy tune. But anyway, London Dungeons, if you've never been and you want to know what it has to offer, just listen to this chat I had with Matt.
We opened in our current site on the 1st of March this year, actually, so we're really new. The London Dungeon itself was the original dungeon, where we have dungeons in York, Blackpool, Edinburgh, and the flagship is London. That opened in the 70s down on Tooley Street. However, at the beginning of this year, we actually relocated from Tooley Street excuse me, to the South Bank, where we've been trading and open for visitors from the 1st of March.
First of March, why did you move?
Combination of factors, really. We really just run out of space over at Tooley Street. Dungeon have been trading there really, really well for kind of over 40 years. We just really ran out of space. It was quite a challenging building, very atmospheric, but quite a challenging building as well. So the opportunity to come over here, and we've taken over the vast vaults that are underneath County Hall, and we've translated some of the stuff from Tooley Street that people really love about it. We've recreated the dungeon atmosphere with damp walls, lots of different floor surfaces throughout the dungeon, so you really kind of get taken out of kind of 21st century London and dropped into the Middle Ages. And of course, we're a much bigger attraction now as well, so we can accommodate many more guests, and our queuing experience is much more improved as well. We now have an interactive queue with things to do and read and turn and touch, and we've got real cockroaches in there as well. Behind glass, I'll add. They're not kind of just loose. And we've also got our kind of resident rats we brought over with us as well. Again, they're in their enclosure as well, but we do get those out with our rat handler, who kind of, you can stroke them and that kind of thing.
Oh, I forgot down just that. I used to keep rats when I was younger. But the wife put the finish to that.
They're actually really cute. A lot of people are quite surprised when they see them up close. I mean, I guess they're a little bit cuter than the ones you might find in the sewer.
Yeah, they are cute. They're great pets. Was there a lot of work involved with the change?
Yeah, it was a huge project. Took about a year. It was actually turned around quite quickly, though, considering the amount of work that has happened. One of the amazing feats was actually building a boat ride in the building. So deep below in the basement of County Hall, we've got Henry's Wrath boat ride in there, which you'll take a boat down the River Thames, recreated River Thames, to Traitor's Gate. And along that journey, you will see Brian Blessed, and he's actually played virtually via a high-tech projection, and that's Brian Blessed himself doing that character. So big, bold character. I mean, you can't get anyone better, really, to play that role.
I can imagine it's very loud.
It is, and yes, he's a very loud character, very bolsterous, brings a lot of personality to it.
I'm sure that's a giggle. What else is new for this year?
Well, the whole attraction essentially is new. We've taken a few of the things that we had over at Tooley Street, but they are kind of reworked, reimagined versions of them. So we've taken the Jack the Ripper stories that people really loved from Tooley Street, and we thought, how can we kind of improve on that? So you will now go through 3 separate shows that all lead up to the ultimate kind of meeting and coming face to face with Jack the Ripper in the 10 Bells pub. And we've added kind of lots of trickery and theatrical effects to that scene just to really kind of ramp up the tension, the surprise, and that's one of our most highly rated shows. Actually, people absolutely love that sort of sense of anticipation, and then the surprise reveal at the end. We have our drop ride as well. That's an all-new drop ride, now starting on the 3rd floor, and you drop through the basement and through the sub-basement into kind of swirling cold mist. So that's pretty cool as well, and that's our kind of finale to your visit. So it's really good fun.
With your new building, is it easier for those with disabilities to get access to
the building? Is completely accessible. We have taken that into account. There's still, the building is quite dark by its nature, so that kind of always adds a little bit of level of kind of complication, but and there are steps in the building, but where there are steps, there are bypass lifts, things like that. On our rides, people do need to be able to transfer from a chair to get on the ride in case of any evacuations or things like that. But other than that, the whole experience is kind of wheelchair friendly. In Sweeney Todd, the show, there we have spaces that you don't need necessarily transfer from a chair, and you'll still get that binaural audio, so it sounds like things are going on behind you and things.
Okay, so that's good access. But what sort of age ranges do you cater for?
Really kind of cater for everyone. We are a family attraction. It's a fun family day out. I would kind of say anyone 8 or above, it's absolutely fine for, but it's one of those really difficult things because you get some 3-year-olds coming in who absolutely love it, and then you get some 30-year-olds who are just kind of terrified of everything and anything. So it is a difficult one to kind of put your finger on and say, yeah, it's definitely for this age range. But broadly speaking, anyone who's kind of older than 8 is gonna have a really good time. And everything it's done in the London Dungeon is all done very much in a kind of fun, irreverent way. We're not a horror attraction. One of the misconceptions is that, you know, it's extreme horror. There's going to be people chasing you with a chainsaw or something like that. It's not. It's all about London history, the sort of darker, murky, horrible history side, but it's all done very much with a kind of bit of banter, bit of jest, that kind of, all very much kind of light-hearted, sort of taking the mick out of the horrible stuff that happened in the capital city.
Oh, taking the mickey, that sounds like me. So, how long should a visitor set aside for a visit?
The whole experience, as it's a guided tour, takes 90 minutes in its entirety. So a good hour and a half to do the entire building.
When would be the best time to arrive?
Generally, we say come early or come late, or the best advice is to really book tickets in advance on our website, which is thedungeons.com/London. By doing that, you book yourself into a half-hour time slot, which you can arrive any time between your half hours. On arrival, you go into our priority queue, which is our quickest entry. Still anticipate maybe a maximum of 45-minute wait, but that's much shorter than our general walk-up line. That will be the quickest way to get you in, and you'll also save yourself some money because our web tickets are always much cheaper than our tickets that you buy on the door.
Okay. So web is best. Even though it's busy, once you're in, you're guaranteed to see everything because it's guided. You're not going to miss out.
Absolutely, and although we're a busy experience, we're popular. Unlike some attractions where you just kind of get pushed in and it's all a bit crowded, we purposely limit the number of people who can go through, so everyone does get a great experience. They can see everything, and you will certainly see the entire building because it's a fixed tour. You move around with a group of people from room to room to room, and you'll see each kind of set piece and each attraction or each show that's in each room.
That's good. You mentioned you've got rats and cockroaches. But how many actors do you have working? And
Well,
are they looked after as well as the rats and cockroaches?
they would probably say no. Yeah, on top of the cast of the rats and the cockroaches, which in total probably is sort of in the sort of high 50s, I'd guess, in terms of the animal side. And performance side, in total it's a cast of over 100 actually, but at any one time there's probably about 30 actors in the building, kind of doing different rotations and things like that. And then we also have people who operate our rides, who we call them dungeon keepers, and they're the guys that put you on the ride and send you on your way down the River Thames, that kind of thing.
Do they put that on their passports as their occupation?
It'd be a good one, wouldn't it? I
Yeah.
imagine you'd be like, had to do a little bit of explaining as dungeon keeper.
I think it's worth doing it just for that. It's a school holidays. Do you have any special promotions on during this time?
Website is definitely the best place to go. We, if you come early or later in the day, you can save up to 30% off the normal ticket. And what we also do is what we call combination tickets. So, because we're now situated next to the Sea Life London Aquarium and the EDF Energy London Eye, and also one of our sister attractions is Man Tussauds London, you can buy a combined ticket that has any combination of those attractions. So if you wanted to come to the Dungeon and the Eye, we do a combined ticket, and buying them combined saves you money over buying the tickets separately. And the good thing about those tickets is they last for 30 days from the day of your first use. So you don't need to cram everything in on one day. You can spread it out across a month if you like.
You mentioned you're part of a group and you've got sister attractions. I think you're part of the Merlin group. Who are Merlin, and what is the Merlin annual pass?
We are part of the Merlin Group. Merlin Entertainments Group is the second biggest visitor entertainment sort of visitor attraction company in the world. They operate and own a number of world-class attractions around the world. The Merlin Annual Pass is really your key and your pass to access all of those attractions in the UK. It's an annual ticket, basically. You can take that to Alton Towers, Legoland, Thorpe Park, Chessington, World of Adventures, the London Dungeon, York Dungeon, Edinburgh Dungeon. I think over 32 attractions in the UK at the moment is where we're at now. And in terms of value, they represent amazing value that for one ticket, you can go to those attractions as many times as you want to within a year.
Keep me occupied all year.
Yeah, it certainly keep you busy. Even, I think, one or two visits to a theme park and they've paid for themselves, and you've got that. And there's also perks that you get as well. So by being a pass holder, there are discounts on merchandise, food and beverage when you're at the attractions as well. And something new that's just actually in a trial period at the moment, but look out for it on the Merlin Annual Pass website, is something called Merlin Membership, which is essentially the Merlin Annual Pass, but it allows you to pay for it by direct debit and spread the cost throughout the year, a little bit like how a gym membership might work.
That's a good idea, that.
Yeah, it makes it just a bit more handy.
It's my wedding anniversary next month. It's 20 years and my wife wants to do something
Congratulations.
special. Thank you. Would I better hire your place for a party?
Absolutely. It's a great place. It's a really cool venue for a party. You can have dinner down in Guy Fawkes' cellars and have a nice table down there. Again, the easiest place to find out about that kind of information is on the internet. Merlin have a company called Merlin Events. Just kind of Google that, and that will take you to a company who facilitate all the events across all the London attractions. So you can have dinner with Guy Fawkes, or you could have dinner up at Madame Tussauds, surrounded by kind of all A-list celebrities who will be joining your party as well.
My wife might kill me, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, it's a very cool place. When we had the opening party, everyone kind of had medieval beer, like mead and pies and things. It was definitely a unique kind of party that you've never been to before.
You mentioned about the discounts if you go early or go late, but we haven't actually said what your opening times are.
At the moment, we're open 10 till 7 at night, so 7 p.m. is our last admission. Outside of the main school holidays, it's typically 10 till 5 our opening hours, and 10 till 6 at the weekends. The only day that is slightly different is every Thursday when we open at 11, due to some fire alarm tests within the building that we sit in, which is County Hall, right next to the River Thames.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to stick to that then.
Yeah, we decided not to open any earlier because just so it ruins the kind of immersive atmosphere that we're trying to create here. So when you're walking through the cobbled streets of London to Mrs. Lovett's pie shop, we really want to make you feel like you're there. So we've gone to the lengths of kind of putting the cobbles down on the floor, creating scents. You've got sound effects of people, the paperboy shouting, carts and all that kind of stuff, and then you go into Mrs. Lovett's actual pie shop and meet her. So we really wanted to transport you from 21st century London and take you to those places, and just with a fire alarm going off, practicing in the test would be a bit disruptive. So we've taken that decision to open at 11 on those days.
Yeah, I think the alarm would kill that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What's your favourite part of the dungeon?
My favourite part is probably I've got two favourite parts. The section where you board the boat ride, it's kind of a dock side. We try to recreate the fact that you're outside on the side of the Thames, so it's windy down there. You've got this breeze coming through, and then my second favourite is actually probably Mrs. Lovett's pie shop. It's a really nice, beautifully themed set, beautiful oak floorboards, smell of pies, kind of flickering lights, and once you get the character, one of our actors in there playing Mrs. Lovett, who's a really brilliant, fun character, because she's kind of, she's very kind one minute, and the next minute she's kind of slightly on edge, and it's a really, really good, gritty character to get into, and it can be a lot of fun.
It does sound it really does.
Mm.
Finally, you mentioned a few websites. Could you just go through the web addresses again, please?
Yeah, of course I can. So the main one for all kind of ticket information, opening times, or any type of information is www.thedungeons.com/London. And from there you can find out all the information, or look at dungeons near you. As I say, there's a dungeon in York, Blackpool, Edinburgh. There's also one in Warwick as well, which is part of Warwick Castle. The one for events is Merlin Events. Just Google that one. That's probably the easiest way to go about that. Mm-hmm. And Merlin Annual Pass as well. You can actually find the Merlin Annual Pass information on the London Dungeon website, though.
Okay, great. Thanks, Matt.
Brilliant.
Thanks for your information. It certainly brought it alive to me, so I'm going to have to pop down.
Yeah, absolutely. Come down, come see us, do a tour, do the rides, have your photo in our kind of iconic stocks. And it's a really good. It's good, light-hearted fun, and you might actually learn something as well. There's quite a lot of history in there.
Oh, don't spoil it by saying I'm going to learn something.
You won't know you're learning there. That's the secret.
Oh,
it's
okay,
fun
then.
learning.
As long as there's no homework and a quiz at the end, that'd be fine.
Yeah, no, there's no homework.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Have a good day.
Thanks.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org.
This is Seclo Sounds. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for 1 hour in the company of Harry and Edna on the Wireless, exploring all aspects of the vintage scene and playing tip-top gramophone tunes. Harry and Edna on the Wireless, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on seclosounds.org. Jolly good.
My name's Teresa Kelleher. Join me on Seclo Sounds every Wednesday at 8 p.m. for my show Inspired by Jazz. Each week I'll take you on a journey as I feature the music, the maestros and the melodies. That's Inspired by Jazz with me, Teresa, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Seclo Sounds.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org.
Yesterday's reckless, telling yesterday's streets of London. Have you seen the old man who walks the streets of London? Getting her hair and her long thin rag. She's no time for talking, she just keeps on walking, carrying her home into caravan. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Sun don't shine. In the Honor Cafe, at 11:15. Same old man is sitting there on his own. Sun don't shine.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show.
This is Seclo Sounds, your community radio station. If you'd like to volunteer some of your time and skills with Seclo Sounds, send an email to volunteers@seclosounds.org and let us know how you would like to be involved. MK Flyers Online, the fast and simple way to find any kind of business or service locally. Find us at mkflyersonline.co.uk or download the MK Flyers mobile app from your app store. MK Flyers Online proudly supports Seclo Sounds, community radio for Milton Keynes.
John Guinn Travel Show. Checking it out before you check in on seclosounds.org. All the websites mentioned on this show will be posted at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Still to come on the show, travel news, including a story about a plane that got diverted in America because of a guide dog. But first, the last guest on this week's show, it's the LEGOLAND Resort in Windsor. I spoke to Liz Edwards to find out more about Legoland. My only personal experience of Legoland was when I went to Denmark a long time ago. And as a family we visited the one there, and I can remember a camel with a spit bubble, which was amazing for a kid to see this bubble come out of a camel's mouth. But anyway, I'm digressing. I'm probably getting a little bit gross as well. This interview was recorded last year in August, so some of the details may change slightly, but so you can visit their website and to find out more. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, the websites will be posted at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. So here is the interview I did with Liz from LEGOLAND Resorts. Liz, I visited Legoland in Denmark a few years ago, but when did the one in the UK open up?
Legoland Windsor Resort opened in 1996. It was firstly a theme park, and now it's became a resort in the last 2 years since we've added our hotel.
Okay, when you got opened, how many bricks were used in the initial models?
Well, we have over 80 million Lego bricks, and that not only includes our mini-land area, but it also then includes all of the different models that we have throughout the park. So we have thousands of models. Everywhere you look, you'll see a Lego model, and we really make sure that they're integral to every part of the experience around the whole resort.
Okay. I remember the ones in Denmark were really pretty impressive, but I haven't been to the UK one yet, so that's something I'm going to have to try.
Yeah, definitely, particularly since we've been here since 1996. That's a shameful thing to admit.
I know, I'm a bad man. What age ranges do you cater for?
Legoland Windsor, I would say, is really for the under 12s. It's your first theme park experience. It's for those that want to come along and have that first feeling of being in a theme park, but also we have so many shows and also the Lego models itself. We really cater for the under 12s, but I've seen people come here in their buggies and they still have a lovely day out because everything's so bright and colourful.
I'm going back to the Denmark one again. There was a driving test available. Is that something you got in your one?
Absolutely. So driving school is probably one of our most popular attractions. That's open for children ages sort of 6 to 13, but we also have a mini driving school for those a little bit younger, so they get to go along and they don't get the full driving licence, but they still get to have the experience. And we also have a boating school, so we've got some amazing new attractions. Certainly if you haven't been here in the last few years, and if you've been to Denmark about 30 years ago, there's some real changes, and it's quite impressive.
I do remember being a little bit miffed I was too old for the driving test. I really fancied that. That's the trouble when you're the eldest of 7. You miss out on some things.
Yes.
What's the most popular attraction you've got at the moment?
Our Dragon roller coaster is always very popular with the children, but this year, particularly of our glorious summer, we opened a new Duplo Valley splash and play area.
Yep.
So we have a splash safari for children of any age to go and have fun, and then we have Drenched Towers, which is our really impressive area, which has a big brick that splashes you with water. It's got 6 water slides. And it's something that you put your swimwear on and have, a great deal of fun. And the parents don't even have to go inside; they can watch from around the side. So that's definitely, particularly with the summer we've had so far, been an incredibly popular addition.
So there's plenty of places to change, is there?
Yes, yes. You have change rooms and toilets and all the usual facilities you'd expect.
Last year you opened the Star Wars Miniland.
Mm-hmm.
What's new for this year?
So we opened Duplo Valley, which I just explained was our new splash and play area. We also have a new 4D show called The Legends of Chima. So Chima's a new Lego range that came out at the beginning of the year, and it's a 4D show that we show in our Imagination Theatre. And it's one of various number of shows that we have. And also last year we had the hotel open, which is a new addition. So guests get to now stay overnight and really experience Lego from the moment they wake up to the minute they go to sleep.
So if they're staying overnight, can they get in a little bit earlier and stay a little bit longer?
So what we do is we have early riders. We have some rides available in the morning for our guests. But what they also have is inside the hotel, they have a pool. They also have an outside playground area, which is always great fun. We have children's entertainment. So there's lots to keep them entertained when they stay on site.
Okay. What's 4D?
So 4D, the traditional 3D that everyone knows, obviously when you have your glasses on and the action comes out towards you, the fourth dimension is when you have the wind and the rain and special effects, so you feel totally immersed in the whole experience.
Okay. That sounds fun. I'll have to give that a go.
Yeah, 4D is really fun.
Do you have any future plans you can mention, or they're top secret at the moment?
They're all top secret at the moment. We will have our very famous fireworks near the end of the season, so more details to follow on that. And then we do have some exciting plans for 2014 and beyond, but they're all very much top secret.
Okay, I'll have to keep an eye out then. When visitors are there, do they get a chance to build their own models?
Absolutely. So we have a build and test area. This year, as part of a new Lego range, Hero Factory, we also have a Hero Factory area so people can build models from that range. We also have free building across the whole park. So even in queue lines, we'll have pots of Lego so children can entertain themselves by doing builds as they're waiting for rides.
How long should visitors set aside for a visit?
Ideally a couple of days. Resorts actually got so big now and there's so much to do. It's not just the rides, we've got so many shows. As well, the free build areas, it allows children to spend a nice leisurely day taking in the whole atmosphere. And particularly now we've got Duplo Valley, children want to play in there for hours. So we do recommend a couple of days, but if you are only here for the one day, come very early and make sure you squeeze every single minute you possibly can.
You said very early. How early is that?
So we open the park at 10 o'clock, but we have been known to open those gates at 9:30, just to try and get people through the gates as quickly as we possibly can to give them as much time in the attraction. So I'd say if you get here between 9 and 9:30, you'll experience all we can offer.
You do stunt shows, Pirates of Skeleton Bay.
Yes.
How many times do you show those a day?
So during peak season, which we're currently in, so school holidays, we'd offer 4 of those just because we have more daylight during the day. But on an average day, say you were going to come here in September or October, we'd offer 3 shows.
Free.
Happy Radio.
Hi, this is Russell Hearn. Join me Fridays at 12 for a little pick-me-up. I'll be playing the music that stirs those warm memories and takes you to a special time and place. And Millie's here with her choice of fun apps for your phone too. So for a lighter look at life and some songs you'll never forget, tune in to seclosounds.org for some happy radio.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Still to come on the show, travel news, including how travellers to the Middle East may find it more uncomfortable in the warm weather. But at the moment I'm speaking to Liz Edwards from LEGOLAND Resort. We're now going to find out how you can get the most out of a visit if it's a really busy day.
If it's a very busy day, what's the best order to do things so you get to see as much as possible?
Oh gosh, it completely depends. If it's a really busy day because it's a sunny day, I would say go to Duplo Valley first. So you get your splash and play in and then you get to go and enjoy the rides. I'd say if you're a hotel guest, start at Atlantis and then make your way up through to Traffic. And if you're a normal park guest, I would say probably turn right as you enter and go and enjoy things like the Dragon. But to be honest, it all completely depends on who you've got in your party, the age ranges. I think guests are normally quite sensible in terms of who decides what they're going to do. Normally it's the children that decide what they want to go on first.
Okay. You've mentioned the splash and rides and stuff. Is it possible to spend a day there without getting wet?
It is actually.
Yeah.
We have the Duplo Valley area. We have Viking River Splash and we have Pirate Falls. So there are our main water rides. But if you don't want to get wet or if the weather isn't suitable for getting wet, we have amazing rides around the park. One of my favourites is Fairy Tale Brook. So you're in a boat, but it's not a ride that you get wet, but you see some of the most incredible animations of fairy tale stories, and it really is. It's a real family favourite, and it's a 1996 original. And this year we spent £1 million putting in new models, so it's just looking its very best at the moment. It's incredible.
That appeals to me. I'm not that keen on getting wet. I'm a real grumpy so-and-so sometimes.
Yes, no, you see, I mean, getting wet was fine a couple of weeks ago, but I'm probably with you. There's nothing worse than a soggy bottom for the whole day, is there?
No, there's not. Your park, does it cater for everybody? What if somebody's got a disability? Is it easy to get around?
Absolutely. In fact, we're one of the most visited parks from around the Merlin Entertainment Group because we have such good disability kind of access policy. We have something called a ride access pass, which means that those guests can come along to our guest services team. We'll offer them a pass so they can go through the exit of 10 of our most popular rides, and then all the other rides that are completely accessible for them. We also have a hill train, so people don't have to walk up and down the hill. They can also get the hill train if they wish to, but everything's fully accessible.
What about if a child's got a food allergy? Can you ring or write email ahead of time to make sure there'll be something suitable for them to eat?
To be honest with you, if they have a very severe food allergy, I'd probably recommend they bring food to the park. And, we do allow our guests to bring in packed lunches. I know some theme parks aren't keen on it, but, we would welcome that. But all of our different, food outlets do have something to cater for everyone. But if it's an incredibly severe food allergy, then we would probably recommend they bring their own food.
Okay. I saw on your website you've got a mobile app.
Yes.
What does it do?
So it gives you information, you have games, you can learn more about the resort. For children, they can plan their visit. So it's a great tool, particularly for those that want to get excited about their visit that's coming along.
We've already mentioned the hotel, but what are the rooms like? Are they family rooms for large families, or are they doubles, twins? So the rooms are really specified for family. We're a family resort. We really appeal to those with younger children. So every room has a double bed for the parents, and then we have bunk beds. But the children's area is slightly separated, so it's very unique. We have code breakers where children can hunt for Lego in their room when they arrive. They have their own TV area, and it's very immersive. We have pirate rooms, kingdom rooms, and adventure rooms, all very different, all very well themed, and it really does inspire children, and with Lego models all around the room for them to spot and find as well. So it's worth checking out our website and looking at our hotel, because they really can. They can inspire the children to want to stay there, certainly. I like the idea of bunk beds, because I've looked at resort hotels before and they don't seem that family friendly the way they're laid out, but bunk beds is pretty good.
Yeah, so when you enter the room, as soon as you arrive on the left or right hand side, you'll have the bunk beds, as I say, with a children's play area with their own TV channels that they can play with. You then have the bathroom, so that's then separated then from the adults area, and then you would have what you would feel is a traditional, hotel room for the parents. Although inside there is, it's all completely themed throughout for both the adults and the children, and we have a Lego TV channel as well. So there's plenty for them to do there.
It's the school holidays now.
Yes.
Yay. Do you have any special events on during the school holidays?
We have events on throughout the year, to be honest with you. Now it's the summer holidays. We do have the odd weekend where we'll have additional activities. This Saturday, we're going to be doing activity in our Hero Factory area with additional builds taking place, some more additional character meet and greets. The August bank holiday, we've got a Lego Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle weekend taking place again with additional character meet and greets and activities taking place. So we do like to have something additional for guests to enjoy when they come along. But to be honest, there's so many shows that it doesn't matter what time of the year you come, there's normally something additional for them to come and do.
You mentioned you open at 10. I can't remember if you said what time you close.
So during the summer holidays, it's 7 o'clock. Weekends it's 6 o'clock, and then when it's quieter periods, it's 5 o'clock. So the best thing is actually, if you want to come along to the resort, is to go on the legoland.co.uk website and just double check what the closing times are, depending on when you want to come and visit us. But currently it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you've sort of my next question there. How can people find out more? So it's the website. I was going to ask you what your favourite part of the park was, but you've already said that with your ride.
Fairy Tale Brook for me is just my favourite. As I say, it's been here as original. 13 years ago, I even worked on it, so now I've seen it with brand new rides and all the new models, that are on it. You know, spending £1 million on models itself is just looks incredible. It's an amazing ride, and you don't get wet.
You don't get wet. It's very important. Okay, Liz, thanks for your time, and hopefully my listeners will pop around to check out these bricks and new models. You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Seclo Sounds exists to bring people and communities together to celebrate all that's best about the city of Milton Keynes. We produce a variety of music and speech programmes, and you've heard some of the promos in this show, and we're produced by local people and run by over 60 volunteers. However, there's always room for more, so if you have a programme idea or a skill that you want to offer, please send us an email to volunteers@seclosounds.org. And of course, as we're all volunteers, we can't operate without the help from our partners, and one such partner is Interaction. Seclo Sounds is based at the old rectory, which is the home of Interaction MK. They've been bringing arts to life in Milton Keynes for over 35 years. They use the arts to improve the life chances of disabled people and others in challenging circumstances through shared created activity. Their programs help participants to develop creative, personal and social skills. To find out more, please visit them at www.interactionmk.org.uk. You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. As I mentioned, all websites listed on today's show will be posted at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Please use this page if you've had any experience of a walking tour of London, London Dungeons, or LEGOLAND Resort in Windsor. Share your pictures and stories so everybody can know what a fun time you had. And now, travel news. The first bit of news involves the Middle East. I guess as the Middle East states become more and more popular as a tourist destination other than Dubai and Abu Dhabi, some of the locals are getting a little bit concerned about the Western practices coming over. More specifically, the lack of modest clothing around the swimming pools and beaches. And several Gulf states are looking at becoming more hardline when it comes to that sort of thing. At the moment, it's more geared towards expats who are working and living over in these Gulf states, but it could always move on to more tourists over there. Qatar is using posters and social media, and the campaign's called Reflect Your Respect, and it's explaining to expats that they should cover up more. And also in Kuwait, lawmakers are actually trying to get swimwear outlawed. Amongst all the clothing suggestions on these campaigns, stuff like leggings are not trousers, so women are being told that leggings are not the same as wearing proper trousers. And it also says that sleeveless dresses, exposed midriffs, tank tops on men and women, and shirts or shorts above the knee are also frowned upon by the natives. How this is going to go, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it has been reported that in Kuwait, some officials are seeking to target bathers, as I mentioned about certain swimwear. But it all comes down to the fact that being on holiday is not an excuse to ignore local laws and traditions and customs. So when you're in a foreign country, you should make sure that you respect that and never be one of these holiday makers who say, "But I'm on holiday," to excuse any behaviour. So if you go into the Gulf state or any state where they're a bit more traditional in their dress and outlook on life, as that the Westerners, you should really make sure that you don't offend anybody. And if that means wearing more on the beach, then so be it. You should respect the locals, but we'll keep an eye on that, see how more hardline it gets, to see if it starts to kill the tourist trade in these less visited Gulf states, and see if it spreads to Dubai, because if it does go to Dubai, that could be a massive problem for the tourist industry there. If you've been told by officials when you've been on holiday to cover up, how did you feel? What did you do? Leave your comments at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And finally, on Sky News, it was reported that a US Airways plane had to make an emergency landing after a guide dog repeatedly relieved itself in the aisle. A spokesman for the airline said that the flight from LA to Philadelphia made an unscheduled stop in Kansas City. A cleaning crew on the ground eventually came to the rescue, but the journey time for passengers doubled from 7 to 14 hours. The flight continued after the mess was cleaned up by US Airways staff on the ground, and to the relief, I guess, of the rest of the passengers, the guide dog and passenger were rebooked onto a different flight. Spokesperson for US Airways says that this was a rare and unfortunate situation. I've never been on a flight where there's been a guide dog or any pets. Just children, and sometimes the children can be a pain. But I wonder how bad that was. If it's anything like my dog and it wasn't just peeing, then the smell could have been quite unbearable. Have you ever been on an airplane where there's been a smell and you've had to bad choice of word. If you ever had to make an emergency landing to clear the smell up because it's so bad, let me know on facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And that's the end of this week's travel news. That's it for another edition of the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Don't forget to share your experiences at walking tours around London, the London Dungeons and Legoland on facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. If you've got any suggestions of days out you would like me to investigate, just leave a little message on the Facebook page. Likewise, if you've ever been on a plane that's had to make an emergency landing because of a bad smell, please share your experiences. The facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show page is there for you to share any travel experience, and if you have any suggestions for the future shows, just please leave them on there. And hopefully you can join me next time on the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org, where I'll be checking it out before you check in.
Trip
MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture, and much more to 66,000 readers every month. Plus news, views, and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse, and it's available online at www.mkpulse.co.uk. MK Pulse and Seclo Sounds, the heart and soul of the city.